Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
High in the Austrian Alps, speed meets precision at the legendary Red Bull Ring. And tonight, the Breaking Bad GT3 League is ready to put on a show. The circuit may be short, but it delivers big drama. Long straights invite bold moves under braking into turn 1, 3, and 4. The kind of corners where races are won or completely unraveled. And in the steep elevation changes in those fast-flowing final sector corners, then you've got a track that demands absolute commitment from every driver on the grid. In GT3 machinery, traction out of slow corners and confidence through the high-speed sweepers will be everything. One small mistake here doesn't just cost time, it opens the door for chaos in a field this tight. Championship battles, late braking heroics, and no room for error. It's all on the line tonight. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. This is Breaking Bad GT3. Let's go racing. Thank you very much to our sponsor tonight, Maxim Motorsports, for being our title sponsor of this event. For all your go-kart needs, from dynamic tuning, from coaching to everything in between, check out Maxim Motorsports. Now taking a look at our second sponsor of tonight, it's going to be Garage 2 Grid Sim Racing. Thank them for their support tonight as well. Over to the points, it's Carl Ross, João Baptista, Cole Malley, Kyle Smith, Jed Connerman, Kyle Dersham, John Voigt, Jack Clark, Keon Maduro, Corey Jones rounding out the top 10 in the pro category. For the Pro-Ams, it'll be just as tight, 413 for Oliver Brooks, Francis Perot in second place with 388. Faraz Ibrahim in third. Kobe Brooks, Nicholas Lawrence Paul, Chet Miller, Owen Huffington, James Clark, Rafael Rodriguez, and Jesse Chase rounding out the top 10 in the Pro-Ams as well. Like we noted at, we are at the Grand Prix layout of the Red Bull Ring with a track length of 2.6 miles or 4.3 kilometers. It was a track that's founded in 1969. The current layout since 2022, we are in Spielberg, Austria in the Alps. 10 corners total, 3 to the left, 7 to the right, with 313 feet of elevation change. Now, joined with me in the broadcast booth today is going to be the ever so handsome Stephen Kernick. Stephen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm absolutely great, but I'm sure going and calling handsome is a little too far off the mark. But I've got to say, I'm looking forward to our drivers really having a good send around the circuit, because the nature of the track is about slipstream. It's about keeping that momentum and keep going forward. Main thing as well, keep your competitors close. The moment that you are stuck by yourself means that you are going to lose tremendous amounts of time. And that gives very limited play for the drivers to go and move up through the order. Another thing we have to touch on too, this track is synonymous for going and giving you off tracks. That 2 wheels off over the white line that's North Track. It will build up so quickly and can take you out of your top 10 running. So we take a look. This is Bernard McCurdy getting a beautiful entrance into turn 1. Steep uphill to a right-hander. Now it's just a little bit of a coast through. Turn 3, a little bit of a kink before it's hard on the brakes to turn 4 into a hard right-handed. Swing it in. The steering gets very light. You got to try and control it out as you put your power back onto the throttle. Heading down towards turn 5 now. This is where you've got to try and line up your line, whether you're inside or outside. It's a crucial passing spot for most. Before you hit the brakes, turn into long right-hander that slowly buttons up underneath you, and you got to carry that momentum forward. Many people go out wide there, lose out too much time, and compromise for this left-hander. Go and put a swing in. Remember, it's a little bit of a double left-hander. As you come out, you just got to straighten yourself up, right back in to the left, hoping to carry all that momentum through. Straighten up, ride the curve on the right-hand side as you start to work with the fringes of the track. Stay on the left, and for the final corner, it's nail it through the right in 4th gear when the tires are beautifully warm, 3rd when it's not, but it's hold the brakes down into the final corner, back up on the throttle, and keep going. So this is a good one for McCurdy and a good show of what he can do around the circuit. Not going too far off the limit, but ensuring that he keeps just ticking those boxes. You want at least one banker lap here at Red Bull Ring, not to be caught out, but McCurdy having a good one out there. Carl Ross also having a great time. Oliver Brooks up to 19th position, trying to catch up to Rafael Rodriguez.
Amazing lap times from the field trickling in. It will be Javier Sierra who takes provisional pole right now in front of Clancy Garvin. Javier Sierra was just running in the Init NASCAR event this morning, and he put on a great show. Impressive to see him come out to a different discipline completely and show out his skills here in the GT3 League as well. Now taking a look over at Kyle Smith as they finish up their 3rd lap now. Last lap, or their fast lap round, would be a 1:29.9. And they're currently running in 7th position for the pro category.
It's all about keeping the momentum. And even though that you play in different disciplines, there is a lot that you can carry over between them. How to corner, how to save the tires, how to save the fuel, and take it from this circuit. A circuit that on a drawn piece of paper looks easy to do. What's the big hoo-ha about it? But you tend to forget this track will destroy front tires left, right, and center. And with a limited amount of time, you've got to ensure that you keep maximum amounts of life in those tires to get to the end. And not to go and forget about the fact that we do have 2 classes of racing on the track at the same time, our GT3 Pro and our GT3 Pro Am. Very close in times, because Carl Smith having a good go around the circuit, currently in that 55 Merc, is in 7th position, but not too far off the back of him is first place of the GT3 Pro of GT3 Am, and that's Nicholas Oino. And Nicholas is staying right on the pressure, putting in some good times. Last lap time was a 1:30.040, which is his personal best, but not enough to kick off Carl's 1:29.986. So close in time, but just needs a little bit more work to get involved there. So unfortunately for Carl, it is now or never. He needs to put in these critical lap times. He needs to start closing up to that top 5 and see where he can go, with the best lap time of 1:29.543 set by Javier Sierra, who holds the GT3 Pro spot. He's going to have to really figure out, how can I close that distance?
Des Crosby just finding P9 overall. That'll be P8 for the category for Dennis. Rafael Rodriguez crosses the line there, finds P10 in the category for himself, P12, and the starting lineup. Now, can Kyle Smith improve their running? P7 is currently where they sit. They can improve. A 129.76 puts them on the second row. P3 for Mr. Smith.
And looks like everyone managing to get good times except for 3 drivers. Christopher Adams, John Vaught, and Robert Nilsson are the only drivers that have yet to get a time on the board to go and move up through the order. And that is a big one, as we've seen both Adams, Vaught, and Nelson go and take the fight to the rest of the field. At the moment, they're sitting right at the back. Rafael Rodriguez currently out on circuit. Quick times coming in. A 130.3 was his best lap time, and averaging 106 miles per hour when he came through. But currently in 12th position, he's hoping to get ahead of Jack Clark, and with Jamie MacArthur on his tail, that Porsche is going to be hounding him, being caught out in a bit of a mid-engine sandwich. The only BMW, the only front engine between 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 is himself. So Rafael hoping they can carry that through, but very, very, very slow. And I would presume that is him done, dusted, and out, and most probably out of fuel as well.
I could only presume that he has run out of fuel and is trying to make it back down into the lane. Roberto Perez concludes the qualifying session as well. 129.982. Currently running 7th position overall and in the category. Out here just concluding a couple of laps. As we wait for the session conclude, we will be taking a quick break for the warm-up session, but don't go anywhere. We have Mac Nelson joining us in just a few moments' time to talk to us about tonight's sponsorship and what it means to be a part of Breaking Bad GT3 League.
Roberto Perez through the corner, hammering it down. Can this be his time? Lying in 7th position at the moment. Can he get himself into the top 5? Round the final corner, aiming for the start-finish line. The Porsche, screaming from the hilltops, is able to come across the line. And it isn't an improvement, unfortunately, to move himself up through the order. But a 129.982 is his personal best. Managed to go and improve in Sector 3, but just wasn't able to improve in the final sector. So it was so close, but unfortunately, just too far out of reach. Robert Nelson, unfortunately, going and visiting the curbs a little bit too much there. Will pick up an off track, and I think once again, that would count as a lap against him. We'll see what the clock says when he comes across the line. Boots it all the way through, and unfortunately, invalidated lap time for our Mustang. Robert Nelson, who once again just getting caught out by the circuit, can't put it together, and will be starting at the back of the field. 5th, going and sitting way down. 32, 33, 34 positions out of the rest of our field.
And we'll get the official results populated here in just a moment. Let's take a look at the GT3 M lineup. It'll be Nicholas Owano and Brian Lavrisa next to Kobe Brooks on the 3rd spot. Mac Nelson in 4th, Kenneth Coping, James Clark, Frank Perot, Oliver Brooks, Chet Miller, Nitakume, Brennan McCurdy, Faraz Ibrahim, Ryan Thompson, Jesse Chase, Nicholas Paul, Owen Huffington, Marshall Darden, Robert Nelson, and Christopher Adams for the AMs. Over to the pros, it'll be Javier Sierra, Clancy Garvin, and Kyle Smith, 1, 2, and 3. Only 2/10 separates them. Then it'll be LaShawn Young Dilworth starting on that 2nd row. Carl Ross in 5th, Jed Cotterman in 6th, Roberto Perez, Dennis Crosby, Jack Clark, Rafael Rodriguez. And then we have, after Rafael Rodriguez, Jamie Miller, Keon Maduro, Kyle Dersham, TJ Yankee, and John Voight for Deepwater Racing. Let's go ahead and grab Mr. Mac Nelson himself and talk to us about Garage to Grid Sim Racing. Mac, do you have a copy there, brother?
How we doing, gentlemen? How we doing, my fine, astute young gentleman?
I may not be young, but I will claim to be astute. I'll take that much. I'm doing very well. How about yourself, Mr. Nelson?
You're doing good, man. You know, hey, I'm up there in y'all's position 5 times a week, man. So to be able to get out here with these guys every Saturday, well, it's actually my first Saturday doing it, but hey, I'll be here every single week after. I swear, I promise it. But no, seriously, getting out of here with these guys, man, it's amazing. These guys, they're just so good, and they're so clean, they're so fair, so respectful. I mean, I noticed it when I called a little bit of last season. These guys, they just show the utmost respect on the track, and it's really nice. It's just really nice to see when you're out there broadcasting it. You see it from that, up high, omniscient angle. But, being down here, driving it, going through practice with these guys, I mean, it's been amazing so far.
That's amazing to hear. These guys have done a great job of showcasing their skills. A couple of them I've seen across other leagues, Keon Maduro, and of course our pole position sitter, Javier Sierra, Roberto Perez, James Clark, to name a few. I mean, and the disciplines that these guys are good at ranges from anything from GT3 open wheelers to NASCARs. How do you get good across multiple disciplines throughout a season?
So I think the main name of the game is to just keep a level head. It's so quick to panic. It's so quick to get consumed in the failure on this sim. I think there's joy in uncertainty. And I think that, you might not be the best. Go out there, follow someone, learn the discipline, learn from reps. I see a lot of people, they always say hot lap, hot lap, hot lap. But when I first joined the sim, man, when I first joined the service in 2019, it was I did nothing but official races, man. Just getting the reps out there, being clean and respectful. You don't have to be fast to go out here and race, man. Just be clean, be respectful. If you want to learn multiple disciplines, like you can see here in the Breaking Bad Pushing Limits ecosystem, then, that's the name of the game. Just be respectful, follow some people, have fun in the failure, embrace it.
I think that's the key to success. You hit the nail on the head, is just to embrace it for as long as you possibly can. You're only going to be new to sim racing one time in your life, so make sure you enjoy it. Because truly, if you're not enjoying it, you should find something else to do with your time, most likely. The same way I treat broadcasting. If I'm not having fun, I'll go find something else to do. But the Breaking Bad GT3 registration of drivers has surely impressed me, from drivers like Cole Malley, Jed Cotterman, just impressing at tracks like Bathurst and Monza. It's been wheel to wheel between them and drivers like Maduro, Oliver Brooks, Dersham, Ross, Kobe Brooks as well. It's just so amazing to see, and I bet it's a treat to be a part of. That's for sure, Nelson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It sure is, man. It's a blast. These guys are the best, man. Unfortunate luck struck me for the first 3 weeks. I couldn't be here, but hey, I'm here now. I'm committed. I know championship probably out the window. It probably was never in the window. I'm bad. That's why I'm up in the booth, Sager. That's why I'm up in the booth. I don't drive much, man. I'm dog poop. You know what I'm saying? But nah, it's fun, man. I'm gonna give it my best shot. These guys are a blast to be around, and I can't wait.
Good luck, Mac Nelson. Take care and have a wonderful night. Most importantly,
yes, sir.
Have fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Take care, Nelson.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful going and hearing the thoughts from him and keeping his eyes forward on the prize. I mean, I'm taking a look at Garage to Grid, and there is so much on their website that you can go and get involved with. Practice sessions, the likes of track days and time trials. They're very orientated of getting the top sim racers, and have some amazing partners, such as Advanced Sim Racing, giving them and assisting with gear that utilizes some of the best equipment in the world on the iRacing service. But that being said, Sega, while I'm getting lost in dreamland of my want to have race, let's take a look at our want to have grid.
It'll be Javi Sierra on that pole position with Clancy Garvin on P2, Kyle Smith in third, LaShawn Young-Dilworth in fourth, Carl Ross and Jed Cotterman line the third row, Roberto Perez and Nicholas Owano with Dennis Crosby and Brian Lavarisa lining P10. Over to P11, it'll be Jack Clark and Rafael Rodriguez with Kobe Brooks, Jamie MacArthur, Mac Nelson, Keon Maduro, James Clark with TJ Yankee. Kenneth Coping lining the next row with Oliver Brooks that I mentioned earlier. Oliver Brooks, Frank Perot, Nidikume, Chet Miller, Fraz Ibrahim, Brennan McCurdy, Jesse Chase, Ryan Thompson, Nicholas Paul, Owen Huffington. Following out will be John Voight, Marshall Darden, Robert Nelson, and Christopher Adams.
Spectacular grid. And with 34 cars lining up here at the Red Bull Ring, ready and roaring to go, a multitude of engines creating a symphony around this beautiful circuit as they get ready to rock and roll. I've got to say, all eyes are going to be towards the sharp end of the field as Clancy, Gavin, and Javier Sierra are going to be down each other's throats, left, right, and center, but you cannot count out Carl Smith or Leeson Young-Dilworth to go and come through the field. But in our field, Nicholas Owano has got a lot of hard work. He has not got too much space between himself and Brian Lavisa, who currently has that chance to get into first place. But this is a wild moment. This is a scary one. This is one that you start to get those butterflies building up inside your stomach. You start putting your eyes down to the line and seeing who has got the pace. Will it be the mighty V10 Lamborghini up against the V6 Chevrolet that's got a turbocharger? Lamborghini just introduced their new V8 with twin turbos. Well, this is going to be the last of the symphonies from Lamborghini to go and have a V10 howling. Let's see if it's going to be in favor of Clancy Gavin just to get that extra little bit of power. They round the final corners. Safety car in. Hold pace speed. Hold pace speed. Wait for the green lights. Wait for the green lights. Wait for the green lights. Oh man, this is going to be a good one. And the charge up to turn 1 is going to be the most hardest part of them all. Green lights, and we are racing as the field launches their way heading into T1. There's going to be nose to tail at this point. You can fit 2 cars wide. It's all about the drive. It's all about the exit. And at the moment, line astern beautifully kept. No one having a big issue, and everyone having to deal with that monster concertina that came through the field.
It will be Clancy Garvin who got the jump on Javier Sierra down in towards the exit of turn 1. Now running in P2 is Javier, and waiting in the wings further back is Jed Cotterman trying to pounce Nicholas Owano, going for moves with Roberto Perez as here comes the Mercedes 94 and trying to let the 33 have his battle. But right now, he's kind of getting in the way of Owano for now.
Trying his utmost best, guarding those inside lines. The smoke head. Oh, that's tanks. That is Leeson Young-Dilworth, who was on such a climb, but it looks like the rear stepped out underneath him. And now, as the field passes him by, and he hears the clatter of the stones against the bodywork, he rejoins, now having to just get that dirt off the tires. So losing out a lot of drive there, but a fight of note. Mac Nelson trying to go for the inside line, see if he can clear past one of our McLarens, managing to get it done. Jack Clark, unfortunately, went very, very wide, continues to stay wide. Not quite sure when he's going to come back on track, and he just only now turns to track with Marshall Dodden being right by him and says, "Sayonara, sucker, I'm gone."
And Darden trying to get the 2-for-1 special done now has John Voight up his sleeve. Number 29 Lamborghini and the Marble Aston Martin number 12 going side by side through the kink of turn number 2, up the hill into the braking zone of Remus, turn number 3. It's going to be single file line, but a slow up check up there for the number 12 allows the 29 to get the drive down towards corner number 4.
Swapping left and right in the scene. So the only drivers that haven't had too much problems are top 5. But take a look at Marshall Gardner. After a stellar drive, it just looks like he's got none of it anymore. That Aston Martin not being as compliant as he wanted through the corners. Will have the inside line into the left-hander. Hard on the brakes, swings it through, slows it down on the apex, but just not getting the power out to work for him. Now, once again, goes for the inside. Unfortunately, just can't get the power down early enough and has to wait yet again behind the pack. That must be so frustrating to have the whole time. Every time you look forward and go, I got this, you get snatched away right at the end. But we are missing a couple of drivers. Robert Nelson and Christopher Adams out of this race by the looks of it. It's a sad blow for them, especially so early going on the championship. 56 minutes to go in this race. Still lots of racing and drivers giving it their absolute all. But who's going to have the tyres and the fuel to see it through to the end, as we do have a Lamborghini turn round?
That's Nidikume of the Ferrari 44 turned around at turn 1. Not pointed in the right direction. Sure is a shame to see Nidikume make his debut here with the Breaking Bad GT3 League, and it result in a spin like that. Over to Dennis Crosby. He's being chased down by Brian Lavresa in the number 9 Lamborghini right behind him.
Absolutely great stuff. Brian not backing off. He wants to keep a solid drive at the moment. Rafael Rodriguez not going to be slowing up in the tribute to the Senna colors, I've got to say. Really nice to see the car out there. Jesse Chase going and showing a little bit of pace to TJ Yankee further afield. TJ is not going to be an easy one to try and get past. There's Oliver Brooks now looking to go side by side with one of the Aston Martins. It's getting bunched up. It's getting a bit wild out there. It's all about who's on the brakes the earliest, and Oliver Brooks nailing it around the outside, was able to keep it going. But take a look. McCurdy under some serious pressure from the Aston Martin. Marshall Donner not getting up the ghost. He is absolutely foot to the floor looking to get past, and now it's going to be the Mustang of Leeson who does take a look to try and get past, and wow, oh wow, Marshall Donner under braking into turn 1. Got the runner, got the pass done, and now it's going to be Dilworth to try and straight line our Ferraris, going around on the racing line, so that's perfect for him. But now he just needs to get his braking absolutely correct to try to sling it through. Slow in, fast out, puts the hammer down, and he manages just to get ahead of the Ferrari. But unfortunately, that's not all working for McCurdy as he drops further back into the clutches of Cole Ross, Fires Ibrahim, TJ Yankee, Jesse Chase, all going and clawing their way around him as goes out wide again for us. Ibrahim not having a comfortable time there. Sees Jesse Chase right on his tail.
A bit dangerous there. I thought that was going to be accident waiting to happen from the 313, but free and clear was that move. Taking a look at Mac Nelson here, currently running in 13th position, has Kobe Brooks from Technically Gifted behind him, and most likely will get a slowdown penalty for track limits there. And yes, we see the track limits pop up at the top part of your screen, and he'll try to serve that very sneakily into turn 1 and into towards turn 3.
A little bit of lift and coast to hope to get it away. Unfortunately, if you don't, it's a drive-through penalty, but these drivers showing that they are flirting with the track limits every which way possible, trying to be as kind as they can to the stewards. However, going to be lots of hard work. Remember, we do have incident points that drivers need to keep in mind, and it does play into effect. So, in regards to our incident points, we've got 17 incident points. So that's every time you put a wheel on the dirt, you get 1x. Car contact is 4x. Every time you slide a car, it's 2x. Up till 17, you land up going and losing a drive-through. Then 8 after that. If you manage to get to 32 X's, that's it. You're out. You're disqualified. You are completely out of the race. And this is a circuit that is well known to the iRacing community and well known to many communities for testing those track limits, because you can take a corner a little too tight and land up getting a penalty, or going out too wide and getting a penalty. It's always that ebbs and flows circuit that you really got to be on the money to get it right. As we do see Marshall Dodden trying to get ahead of the Mustang of TJ Yankee ahead of him. TJ is not making it any easier, slowing it down right down onto the apexes as they run line astern in the full car train. Marshall Dodden on second in that train. He has got Mike's as far as Abraham and Jason Chase all over the back of him. It's all about trying to keep up the motivation, keep that movement going forward. And this is where you've got to ask a crucial question. Do you feel that the drivers are losing time like this, or is it worth just hanging into the slipstream, lift and coast to save a bit of fuel and on your tires?
Well, with this race being at least 60 minutes long, the race distance that we're going to travel is definitely going to cause abrasion to the tires and force a pit stop throughout the field. So with that being said, if you can make your pit stop as quick as possible, you'll be better off. I think it would be imperative for some of these drivers that are sitting in these battle packs to sit back and lift and coast for a little bit of time and perhaps save that critical amount of time spent in pit lane, because it'll help them get those positions made up in the long run. If you look at a very short perspective or a short game run, you're going to wear down your tires. You're going to be very slow towards the end of this race, let alone survive that first stint.
Got to think about the plans, got to think about who's got the running car. Ross and Nicholas Paul further up the road, they have been trading places. But we've been keeping an eye on this four-car train. It does look like Marshall Dodden is opening up the gap from behind, but is losing out tremendous amount to TJ Yankee. And going to be feeling that one off. No, Dennis Crosby, on board look from him. So he's trying to also get a pass done and dusted. Talk about a fight into a corner as Dennis tries to go the long way around the Lamborghini, and now getting pushed by Rafael Rodriguez in that BMW, showing what he can do, trying to pull this old center move of around the outside, get the pass done through a corner. However, a little difficult here as Dennis is going to make that Mustang as wide as possible. Rafael Rodriguez not going to be giving up and holds on to the chase, right up against that rear bumper and trying to push to say, come on, let's go. Quick flash of the lights as well. Just telling the driver, please, let's go. Let's not lose time. We need to keep going. We need to keep moving forward. Oh, as we do see Brian Lavissa, who currently is second of our AM field, getting a bit wheels into dirt. Do you think it's really a point that he needs to go and push harder and harder, considering he holds second in the class? He's got two pros behind him, but risking it through every corner? Right idea, wrong idea? I mean, last thing he wants to do is get swallowed up by the two, as we do see Rodriguez got the inside line, trying to see what he can do. Under braking between the two of them, but it is going to be Dennis down into 10th. Rafael up into 9th, and now they're right at the back of the Lamborghini of them thinking, right, what do we need to do to catch up to Brian? Jet Miller a little bit further in the field, giving it everything he's got to have a bit of fun in 007. And Sega, what's your take on the race thus far?
So far, well, it's been everything that Mr. Nelson has said it was going to be. Action-packed, close, tight pack battles And Javier Sierra, trying to challenge for the win here tonight, has been overturned by Clancy Garvin. The leader in the number 73 Lamborghini leads by 1.1 seconds now, leading down into Niki Lauda curve for this, the 9th time of running.
Another slowdown for Dennis Crosby. That's going to be impacting his time quite a bit. Now, we always talk about who's the hardest chargers and who's lost out a bit. Well, we can talk about a hard charger. That's John Vaught in 17th position. And that Lamborghini is up 14 places from where he started. So John Vaught is not hanging around. He will try and close up to the rest of the field. Everyone else has been running just under 10 with their positions, gains and losses. With the only big loss coming in that is still actively going is James Clark, down 11 places from where he started. So some of the drivers finding that it's easier to race here at Red Bull Ring, others finding that it's a pain to race here. This is a circuit that requires rhythm, focus, and just for you to keep going. You have to remember when to shift up, when to shift down, when to trail brake, when not to. There's a lot of feel like you're dancing, a bit of modern ballroom when you enter the circuit. You got to really feel the car slide around you, because this doesn't go and help you with high aerodynamics. The nature of the car has to be low drag the whole way through to make sure it works out. Owen Huffington going and utilizing that little bit of a run, gets ahead of Jesse Chase. But at the moment, Owen Huffington has to focus on maximizing pace to move back up through the order and ensure that he is in for a good run. But low drag on all these GT3 cars does make things a little bit more difficult.
Mac Nelson currently running in 13th position, started in 15th, only gaining 2, but sitting on a podium right now for the class. A little bit defensive, back from Kobe Brooks, who is running right behind him, and Lock in key in the Porsche, sitting in the same position that he started the race in, and the race just gets worse for Nidikume as he gets another slowdown penalty. Things just not going Kume's way tonight.
Not at all. Take a look at Kobe Brooks under braking. He has got this McLaren, this Mercedes and Mac Nelson under wraps, but just doesn't have the low end torque to try and get the run. Nicely done. Second gear takes the apex. Third gear all looking good, and you can see that there is a bit of a problem for Mac. He can't get that car to balance. He's fighting and faffling, but Kobe not going for any aggressive overtakes, not going for those late dives. He's waiting for his opportunity more and more, and here it is as he does watch it happen. Now it's going to be side by side. Who's got the top end to carry the momentum through? The Porsche of Kobe now needs to make it stick as Mac falls down to 14th, but comes swinging back up through turn 1. Didn't put a wheel wrong and is in back ahead of Kobe Brooks. I mean, this is absolutely well done for Mac Nelson. Just that little bit of trail braking, that little bit of bleeding it off, got him towards the sharp end. Kenneth Coping now trying to move up with the Chevrolet. Can he close off the pass? Yes, he does. To hold back Marshall Darden in that Aston Martin. So the drivers giving it their absolute all, giving it that final push and seeing where they can go with 43 minutes remaining. It's all or nothing as these two yet again come at one another. Kenneth has got the outside line. He's able to get the drive out, but for the likes of Marshall, he needs to stay right there in the wings, keep himself beautifully close, and possibly look down the inside yet again as he tries his luck. Nose forward, turns the steering, got to crank it over, trying to go for a little bit of a block pass. Unfortunately, too much room, and he will have to now fight around the outside through the left-hander, as once again it's a fight between Jesse as he does everything he can to stay in it. Jesse and James not holding back. The two power duo fight it out yet again and no one giving it a bit of a run. So it's Marshall Dog and Kenneth Coping that are fighting it out. But Marshall having an easy run through the corner this time round has got a little bit of room to the likes of Kenneth Coping.
Oh, a little bit of a mistake there for Darden, who seems to be a magnet of attraction to our cameras tonight. As he's up 7 positions, he's shaked and baked with just about everybody on the grid tonight. Tries to go for a switchback on the Kenneth Coping out in front, driving the Corvette, but no, can't find the overlap to make that one stick. Checking in up ahead with Jed Cotterman, Roberto Perez, Jamie MacArthur, Nicholas Owano. Jed Cotterman is checked out of this battle 3.5 seconds up the road from Perez.
Incredible stuff. Drama's pushing that little bit harder and harder. Those lap times coming in. But Sego, I've got a good question over here. What are the tires and fuel looking like for these drivers? Because as we both know, you push that little bit harder, you use that little bit more fuel that you didn't quite plan for in practice, and now all of a sudden you've got to cast your eyes 3 laps time, whether you're coming into the pits, whether you can eke out an extra lap. That 1.1 lap, is it worth it, or is it going to bite you in the backside?
Time will tell what the drivers have in store for us as far as the strategies are concerned, but right now it'll be Jamie MacArthur and Roberto Perez duking it out on the racetrack. Nicholas Owano driving the AMG behind in the number 94, just watching the battle unfold. I don't think he wants to get involved unless he needs to. He's got a healthy gap to Brian Lavrisa behind, about 5.5 seconds there, and he doesn't need to be concerned with his fight for the podium just yet.
As they hang on to the back of one another, Jamie MacArthur really doing everything he can, and a little bit of a sandwich at the moment. Started in 13th, up to 6th, a very, very great climb up as we go down to Kobe Brooks, who looks to try and get one of our Mustangs side by side. That's Frank Peralt, who gets forced to the outside line. The two of them are now getting bunched up as Millsworth gets closer and closer. This is going to be a problem for Kobe Brooks, as he's got his mirrors full left and right of 2 brute force Mustangs, and it's gonna be a quick pass for Dilsworth. Got the better line, slings it through, and instantly opens up a bit of a gap. Frank Peralt now trying to close up the distance, as we do see Kobe running a little bit wide, so close to the fringe of the circuit. And right behind Frank Peralt is Chet Miller, who has come slicing his way through. Got an easy pass from the likes of Peralt. Chet Miller pushing that a little bit harder. Didn't have to think about it. The 007 now just cycling his way back up through the field. I do think a bit of a clever move coming in for Frank Peralt to utilize Miller as a bit of a wrecking ball to come through. Side by side, Roberto Perez doing everything he can to stay alive at the moment, as has a go at him. The two side by side, nothing in it. Nicholas Owano sits right behind them, first in his class, but wants to get into this tussle for the pros, as the two Porsches so evenly matched in and out through the corners. And at the moment, it is going to be who has the grit to carry on going, who's not going to get tired, and who's going to stay at the sharp end of the field. MacArthur and Perez constantly throwing hammer and tongs at one another, but it looks like as it starts to quiet down, they're slowly but surely has brought Nicholas into the fray in that AMG GT3 Evo.
Speaking of AMGs under threat, Kyle Smith and Jed Cotterman running nose to tail. Cotterman doing a great job of catching up to Kyle Smith here. Last lap around 130.13 compared to a 129.94. So slowly but surely working that pace. But we all know catching is one thing. Passing, well, that's a completely different ball game. Now, can Cotterman get the overtake done on Kyle Smith? On board with Kyle Smith, you can see the rear view mirror right there, or the rear view display, I should say, in the AMG. That'll be the display there in the middle of the car. No longer do we use rear view mirrors. We've gone to the 21st century, folks.
Believe it or not, you do still have rear view mirrors in GT3s, but there's a reason for it. GT3s, as Carl Smith was listening into the conversation and lost control of the car. Beautiful save, but one wheel wrong went to confuse all his drive. Well, GT3s, if they're a car that doesn't have a rear window, you're allowed to only use a camera. But if you do have a rear window, if your road-going car has a rear view mirror, it needs to be into GT3 as well. So they have made vehicles without a rear view mirror to comply into GT3, but you'll take a look in the BMW for a good one. There is a middle mirror that sits in the car, and how they also tend to work around putting little weights in that mirror to help with the minimum weight the cars have to be at. So it does make things a little bit more interesting and does keep it going. However, it is the main mirror, the main monitor that keeps to the right hand side, which is an easy eye view for drivers. They don't have to worry about too much, but the middle mirror, you can see it clipped on to the roll cage. That is off to one side, so at least by having a screen you can move it a bit closer, more in eye line for the driver, and ensure that you don't have to look too far to see where your competitors are. At the same time, that middle mirror allows you to, it has basically flags. It also shows you left or right where the competitors are and distance to you. So that is one thing that some doesn't have as yet. I do expect it to come, but it does make things a little bit more exciting for these GT3 cars, and how ergonomics and making ease of use for driving has become a monumental factor for these cars. How can we make it easier to drive? How can we make it easier for the drivers? And what can we do to keep close racing We do see Lisa and Dilworth going and having a stellar bit of fun. Clears past Mac Nelson, Kobe Brooks all over the back of him as our GT3 class comes through. The GT3 is the most anticipated and welcomed category in the world of racing, not only in sim racing, but racing in total, taking over DTM and so many more. And do you know, we're even losing our Super GT as come 2030, they're all going to be converted to Super Hypercars, as they call them. So we're going to have our Hypercars replacing our Super GT.
That will be very interesting. I had not heard about that. That'll be a new class, a new era of vehicles. We are definitely in the golden era of motorsports right now, with so many technical regulation changes that are springing up every single year. And I believe the balance of the performance probably being the best it's ever been. We have basically 5 manufacturers in the top 6 right now, from Lamborghini and Corvettes to AMGs and Porsches.
Still lots and lots of time for the drivers to keep pushing, keep going that little bit further and see where exactly they're going to end up at the moment. But Chet Miller a little bit further down their plan with that Chevrolet, hoping to spool up those turbos to get a bit closer and to go on the hunt for the Porsche ahead of him. Everyone flirting with track limits once again, as it's Corone Maduro who dives into the pit. So Corone Maduro into the pits, getting his first stop done and dusted, and will be looking to get out back to the field as soon as possible. The pit lane is tremendously long here at Red Bull Ring. It is the equivalent of waiting at a SARS or a taxpayer's line. You just sit there waiting, twiddling your fingers until you get released and finally can rejoin the field. And can tell you, coming out of the top 10, Corone is all the way down to 22nd position before he has managed to get out onto the track. And he's now got Jesse Chase that just cleared him, who's down to 23rd. Was riding within the top 10.
One of the very tricky things about Red Bull Ring, because the pit lane is so long, and the lap is so short, you're nearly going to go a lap down, if not 2 laps down at the end of the day for making a pit stop. So you're now a blue flag to the rest of the field outside of your class. Having to yield your position to a couple other drivers will really slow you down for your second stint. So perhaps coming into pit road wasn't the best idea for Keon Maduro, as he now sits in traffic roughly around Marshall Darden, who's about a second back. But we have to keep our eye here on Mac Nelson and Kobe Brooks's battle, as this is for the podium in GT3M.
Kobe's not holding back at the moment. Mac Nelson trying everything behind him, looking left and right, and now it's a drag race. Will the Porsche be able to get the upper run? It is going to be so. Mac Nelson trying to come back with that Mercedes, unfortunately just under braking, not having enough to catch up to the Porsche. Feeds the power through, but Mac Nelson stares at the rear taillights of Kobe Brooks, who now holds on to the final stop on the podium. Third place. Now, for Kobe Brooks, this is now or never. He's got to get the climb. He's got to make it work. He's got it clear. Mac Nelson as fast as possible, but right behind them, Frank Peralt waits for his opportunity as well, looking to come in and take it for the fight. So Ford Mustang right there. Don't even count out Chet Miller. The 007 is also trying to close up the distance as well. So we're starting to see some very interesting runs. Jed Cotterman now into pit lane. That takes him out of the top 5. And let's see where exactly he's going to land out, and whether he's going to be suffering the same fate as many before him. They tried to get in and out through the pits without getting caught. Coron Maduro is the target, down in 22nd position. There's Jed Cotterman getting a refuel, getting himself sorted for the final 30 minutes and 49 seconds before they can get up and racing. It's a very, very slow stop for Jed Cotterman at the moment.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but it's about average with the rest of the field, getting fueled up for the rest of the stint. 21 seconds in the lane. At least in a stall, 55 seconds in the lane total. Bumps him back to P16. Sits 1.5 behind a gentleman named TJ Yankee. Back up here to Mac Nelson's battle. This time it's with Frank Perot, the Canadian 999, driving the American Ford Mustang.
Keeping the pressure on. Frank is going to have to really lean on the back of try and force a mistake out of him. We've seen Mac can hold a solid defense, but to get that pass done, you really got to put your nose in forward like he's done. Frank trying everything he can, however, just didn't have the run out of the exit. Mac managing to stay alive that little bit longer, and take a look who's joined into the party. Chet Miller now into the mix, looks to try and close the distance. Chet Miller in that Chevrolet, as they do see a big move coming in. Mac Nelson dived into pit lane, forced Frank to get a little bit harder on the brakes, and that's brought Chet Miller closer to the fight, as pit lane starting to look a little bit busier out there, and drivers need to consider, what are we going to do with 29 minutes to go? How far can I stretch this tank? How far can I go for this race?
Crosby, Books, Nelson, Clark, all in the lane right now. Chet Miller 3/4 of a second off of Frank Perot and his Ford Mustang, now into P2, P3 for their class. They got to get good in laps to try to get around the likes of Mac Nelson, who is struggling a little bit on his in lap. It just seemed that he was a little uncomfortable with the car. And something that I deal with personally is just a little bit of mental fatigue. You get me about halfway through a 1 hour race, I start to daze off, lose concentration, forget where my brake markers are, or I start focusing, hyper-focusing on delta, lap times, perfection, and not just focus on driving my line. And it seems to be that these drivers here might be getting into that mental fatigue portion of the race, Steven.
I do think so, and also with majority of the drivers using some pretty high up direct drives such as your R5s, your R9s from Mazda, plus many more, you actually start to pick up a bit of lactic acid buildup in the arms. If you got a load cell pedal, it's going to be in lactic acid in your legs. You start to get a bit of cramping in your legs. You suddenly start to feel your own toenails at this stage of the game, where you are biting through it, trying to adjust yourself in the seat to just get yourself a little bit more comfortable from any bit of pressure pain that might be coming in. And that's why it's so crucial to keep hydrated and to keep looking forward, as we do see Carl Ross is getting a pass down the inside, Owen Huffington having to just give him a little bit of room there, not quite sure where he was, but still clean racing, let him by, tucks in behind and utilizes the toe. So as a driver, hydration is key, having to just try and blink when you can down the straights, just to try and get a bit of covering over your eyes, and also not to go and run into a problem. This is all about pacing oneself, thinking what you need to do, what's going to be the big plan here. Mac Nelson, who has come out of the pits, now deals with Kobe Brooks all over the back of him. Kobe not going to be one to be called out here, as Rafael Rodriguez hits from 5th. He will be giving his top 5 chance a bit of a break for now until the field has done. But take a look at the pit stops here. Kenneth Coping is the only driver that's amongst our top 10 and down, has managed to not do a pit stop as yet. For his pit stop, it's going to drop him out of the running for the top 5 in the GT3 AM class. So for Kenneth Coping, he's in a little bit of trouble and dives into the pits. Now to see whether he's going out long has helped him out, or is he going and huffing some copium.
Closest battle on track is the one right here between Mac Nelson, Kobe Brooks, and Marshall Darden, the cameraman magnet. You just can't get away from this marble livery. It looks stunning out here on track, and love to see it come back in the number 12 Aston Martin form. And Marshall Darden is no slouch in this race. He's up 13 positions right now, but still has to make that critical pit stop, so expect him to fall down the order. But for now, it looks good for Darden's charge. He's about 7 net gained currently, as Kobe Brooks tries to challenge Mac Nelson for that podium spot yet again.
We've got all these little silo battle cars all on the back of one another, as we did see a quick flash of lights coming from Mac Nelson, trying to warn the cars ahead of him that they would like to come through. However, they are also racing position, as Kobe Brooks nails it past, gets himself ahead, and now it is all about the chase, as Mac Nelson needs to try and figure out how to get past Kobe Brooks and close their way down. Jed Kotterman, slow down for corner cutting. That's going to cost him a bit of time and really take out some of the bite he had from that top 10. Kobe Brooks holds the racing line, not shifting away from it, even with Mac Nelson trying to dive onto that rear view right-hand mirror. Just couldn't see how to get it done, couldn't see any room to get it done, had to wait that little bit longer. And I do think the pressure is starting to be felt, as Mac Nelson, not too happy with the car, is not getting the drive he needs to stay on the back of Kobe Brooks in that Porsche 992.2 GT3R.
Currently running in 16, 17, 18. This is 4, 5, 6 in the class right now. Frank Perot, Kobe Brooks, and Mac Nelson. Nicholas Iwano comes down pit road. So does Kyle Smith and Clancy Garvin. Maybe Javier Sierra has something up his sleeve by running this long throughout this race, potentially fuel saving. Getting a little bit of extra time down the lane could be critical for his battle with Clancy Garvin and that long-legged Lamborghini.
It's all about the momentum now. Chet Miller deciding not to go into pit lane, will be bouncing himself up into second place with Clancy Garvin up into second, so he's still got that huge climb. At the moment, top of the board is Javier Sierra, who has yet to go into the pits. He is more than happy to keep his pace as they run along. Carl Ross trying to look to go yet again on the inside. Couldn't quite get the pass all done and has to wait out that little bit more. We're starting to see more and more drivers taking the gamble of when to duck into the pits. 22 minutes to go, so beyond the halfway mark, drivers trying to stretch those tanks out as long as they can, see if it helps them out, see if they can create enough room on the circuit. But the question comes down to the fact of who has got enough in the tank to give it that final push, because so far, looking at the pit stop times, this has been putting a little bit of fuel in and not much on new tires. So the drivers going and utilizing a single set of tires, and who's saved enough grip to carry that through, all the way through. Jet Kottman, however, trying to keep ahead of Nicholas Awano, who currently holds second of our GT3 AM. He's trying to catch up to Chet Miller. Jet Kottman, however, needing to really put the hammer down and see where exactly he comes out. He's done his pit stop. He's trying to catch up to Carl Smith up the road from him that has not done has done a pit stop. And then they've got Javier Sierra, who has just gone to the pits to retake that first place. So a lot of hard work coming in. Jet Coleman, Carl Smith to pass one another and get past the likes of Javier. Now further up the field we have Chet Miller that's got the leading the course, as he's the only one that has yet to do a pit. Mac Nelson trying to see for the battle ahead of him, left and right, where do you go? It's always a gambit to see if you can get the pass done. The question is, has he lost too much time? And now Kobe Brooks into the toe as they pull each other along. It is a nose-to-tail battle here. Frank Peralt going and keeping Oliver Brooks, Mac Nelson, and Kobe Brooks all running in the same class, all running in tow, each of them looking for a victory.
Replay here of what happened to Clancy Garvin as he went off track. Let's see if we can find the actual incident. Oh my goodness. It was a big crash for Garvin. Was this by himself? He was in the lead of this event. Comes down in towards turn 4, and yes, he was all by his lonesome. And that will be the pass for the lead. Javier Sierra getting it back now.
Too early on the power, and the whole car says nay. Chet Miller into the pit, Sierra into the lead. And, well, drivers starting to feel that fatigue we were talking about earlier on. Who is going to feel it? Who's going to be able to cope with it? And we do have our first drive-through, and that's Marshall Darden getting our first drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded. So Marshall Darden will have to do a drive-through penalty within 3 laps to get himself sorted. Mac, however, doing everything he can, try and see if he can get on by. However, it's got a lot of pressure on the back of it. Mac Nelson needing to really try and clear as quick as possible, or he needs to defend, because here comes Brooks, looks down the inside, taking the drive up, couldn't quite get it done, had to wait out that little bit more. Beautifully taken in turn 1. Gotta say, despite the fights, these drivers pushing the limits are able to get that little bit more of a drive. Jerome Maduro trying to make up a little bit of time in the 88 car, down to the 11th position, and he has got this right behind him. An absolute world of chaos behind him, as Mac Nelson trying everything he can to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Oliver Brooks, with Frank Peralt just further up the road, keeping an eye on the rest of the field. Kobe Brooks in that yellow Porsche, trying to keep it all together and see if he can go for a pass. Nose to tail on the way through. Everyone realizing, hold on, time's running out. We got to give it that final push with 18 minutes and 36 seconds to go. Who has got enough in the tank to stretch open that gap? Who's got enough in the tank to see it through to the end? Who is got enough to become a winner here at the Red Bull Ring?
That's to be decided in 18 minutes time. Right now it's looking great for Javier Sierra. Kyle Smith and Jed Cotterman, P1, 2, and 3 in the pro category. Nicholas Owano leads us in P4 for the pro am category. Roberto Perez in 4th, Clancy Garvin, Jamie MacArthur, Rafael Rodriguez, Kyle Dersham, LaShawn Young, Dilworth, Keon Maduro are going to round out your top 10.
Drivers having to really think outside the box here as Kobe Brooks once again powering out to that Porsche. Is very, very good coming out of turn 4 and really leaning on the power, but just not having the legs to keep the momentum forward to try and stay into the mix with the brute force V8s ahead of him that seem to have a little bit more top end as Roberto Perez gets to slow down, and looks like Kobe is not slowing down, looks to dive the inside line. Can he make it work though? Beautifully hooked it in, gets the drive, side by side they go. It's going to be Kobe Brooks down the inside, hooks the pass. He's good, he's losing it. Oh boy, it is a side by side race down to the wire.
And Jed Cotterman unfortunately crashed. Let's get a replay of what happened here to Cotterman. It looks like he's by himself, unpressured right now, running in P3. And sight unseen, that'll be the 12 of Darden. And just an unfortunate incident, one of the highest speed sections of the racetrack.
Severe work on his car after that one. That T-bone of note, taking him clean out of the race, and now having to keep the momentum going. Clancy Garvin trying to move up at the moment. He's got the 33 ahead of him, and just not having an easy time there. Trying to really eke in and out through the corners. Roberto Perez holds on to 3rd place at the moment, and Clancy wants to try and retake it, leaving little to no room for any advantage to be gained. Looking to try and get that Lamborghini around as he looks around the outside. A little bit of pressure, swing to the left hand side, brings it in. Very, very difficult to try and get the pass done yet, but gonna look for the undercut down onto the main straight, through 2nd gear, up to 3rd, and in the toe. Clancy not breaking out of that toe, is mimicking moves, and now it is into turn 1. Just not close enough to make it work out for him, and he knows he's got to get that pass done, otherwise he's got the likes of Jamie MacArthur, Jed Cotterman, and Nicholas Owano. You cannot forget Nicholas in the top 5 as a GT3 AM driver. For Jed Cotterman, the damage to his car, he's absolutely enjoying the drive and still keeping it going as Nicholas Owano got past the Lamborghini and now needs to try and pull the rest of the field along. And there's no pressure coming from Nicholas to defend anyone behind him, but now he's just racing against the pros and looking to make it work in his fancy. Clancy Garvin, Jamie MacArthur, and Jed Cotterman continue their battle, continue to try and figure out where it can go. However, Roberto Perez has got a little bit more breathing room. And I failed to think here, Clancy Garvin has got a problem with his Lamborghini. He's miles off the pace of Nicholas now, and under pressure from Jamie MacArthur in the Porsche. Has he realized that he hasn't got enough in the tank and is trying to save a little bit here and there?
Well, I think Clancy Garvin probably has a significant amount of damage to that vehicle, and that's why he's slowed down so much after clattering with the barrier a couple laps ago. That'll definitely be causation for him running off the pace compared to what he had in the tank just a little while ago.
It'll be an interesting one. Managing close up into the toe. Nicholas Owano now under pressure yet again. And it looks like Clancy managed to find that pace. Takes a look down the inside. Deep send of nodes and take a look at the pusher of Jamie MacArthur. Getting a bit greedy. Seeing if he could put his nose and shut that apex off for Nicholas Owano. And what a drive from the two of them to give it absolutely everything it got. We can see the pass getting done. Nicholas down into that top 5 and still puts the pressure on to get past Clancy. And at the moment, he's got to look in the rearview mirror of Jamie MacArthur and Jed Cotterman, who are constantly in the mix, trying to see where they can to get that little bit of a climb, to see where it's going to work out for them. There is every opportunity for these drivers to do well, and you can already tell how hard they're pushing as Jamie MacArthur dives in through the dirt, getting that front right and rear dirty, and now having to just power his way through. He is absolutely using every part of the circuit possible, every single one of these cars utilizing it, but slowly but surely will be picking up those incident points. Every off-track is 1, a slide is 2, car contact is 4, you got 16 before your first drive through, 32 before you disqualified. So you got to be so careful not to get to 16 points. But when you're in a race like this, it is all or nothing, and you've got to utilize every advantage possible.
Absolutely here. And there goes Jed Cotterman on his recovery drive. Although he's missing a front bonnet, he's still battling it out with Nicholas Owano and climbs back up into P6 overall. As Jamie MacArthur up the road, I think he wants to get into the top 5 now.
Some great racing. Cotterman, who had that substantial damage to his nose after a T-bone, is still managing to keep the car alive, but for how long, as he's going to have to keep a very close eye of Nicholas on the back of it, trying to see where he can move forward. Nicholas Warner was reaching for a top 5. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out in his favor. Now down to 7th position, and we'll be eyeing out these two like they are dinner. And right behind them, there's Rafael Rodriguez in the BMW. Side by side for James Clark, trying to have a look into turn 4. Into likes of Brennan McCurdy, both of them doing everything they can. Late on the brakes, hooks it in through the right. Can he get the drive, and managing just to do so? Got a little bit of interesting colors there, very reminiscent of Speed Racer on his car in the number 5 Chevrolet. Got a bit of Speed Racer added in. Wonder if he's monkey in the boot. That's the question. Got to ask the driver. As James Clark doing everything he can to race out of the way from the rest of the field.
Now, it'll be Kenneth Coping in P7, and he's got Nicholas Paul back here with Brian Lavrisa in their battle for 9th and 8th respectively. James Clark running in 10th now, tumbled down the order just a moment ago.
Nicholas Paul lost out that little bit of drive out of the final corner, and you can see how much of a difference it actually makes with the likes of Brian Lavisa in a Lamborghini who starts to run away from you. Now the BOP, it doesn't matter if you're running the V10 or the straight 6 like what you see here currently on screen with the 2 cars. However, it does come into effect where you're talking about who's got more low-end torque and who's got high-end torque. And at the moment, the Porsche not having some low-end torque. Roberto Perez doing everything he can to guard the line. He's got Clancy Garvin all over the back of him. This is a fight for 3rd place. This is a push for 3rd place. Roberto Perez does not want to lose out. 3rd in class and 3rd overall. And Clancy Garvin is fighting tooth and nail at this stage of the game, side by side. And it looks like it's going to be a try overtake and gets it done. Clancy was able to find the grip out there, got around the outside, forcing the likes of Roberto Perez down the order. Roberto tried getting on the gas, but that Porsche's rear started to step out underneath him. Frustration coming out, lots of irritation of that happening. And now Clancy Garvin gets his foot on the gas, continues to open up and keep himself into 3rd place. What it would be to capture a podium here at Red Bull Ring, a circuit that catches most off guard And with a very, very tight field, the lap times are incredibly quick. No one giving an inch. And for Clancy Garvin, who holds the fastest lap time of the race, 129.3, he continues to keep up that stellar drive. However, Jamie MacArthur trying to do everything he can with Jed Cotterman ahead of him. Jed, who had that T-bone early on in the race, now trying to do a little bit of recovery work and hold back the Porsche. He hasn't quite got the straight line. You can see Jamie is going to have an outrun moment to him into T1 through the brakes. Got it done and dusted. Jed Cotterman unfortunately had to slow it down a little too hard and has Nicholas Iwano all over the back of him. Nicholas, leader of the GT3 AM class, more than happy to get back into the fight and see where exactly can he get past Jed Cotterman, who dived down the inside of Jamie MacArthur, but to had that door firmly closed on him.
It was looking tight. It was looking fierce. It was crazy. It was so tight coming into Remus. It was looking really good for Jed Cotterman, but he's still got to get closer to Jamie MacArthur. Jamie MacArthur is up 8 positions right now and holding on for dear life. Doesn't want to give up any more ground. Roberto Perez up the road by around 4 seconds. Frank Perot here in this battle with Kobe Brooks now that Chet Miller's checked out, and he's up into P2. Kobe Brooks, Oliver Brooks, and P4, P5 in the category nose to tail as well.
Some great racing had by all. 6 minutes left in this race, and everyone now dialing up the wick, trying to see where they can move for Brooks. Sometimes he needs to try and get that little bit further up, as Frank Perot is 4th class position and is lying 3rd place in class. This is where you're going to have to take that deep breath and really go for the sense. But this is also the same time that we've seen so many races go wrong. When you start saying 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left, there's almost a switch in the brain that goes, just throw caution to the wind and really give it your best shot. Unfortunately, we've seen it turns the switch off, falls sanity, and can cost you dearly.
Drivers out here staying pretty cautious with what they're doing out on the racetrack. They know that the clock is coming down, but they know that they're fatigued as well, mentally, physically, and mechanically. Their cars have seen battle for the last hour or so. And now coming into the closing stages of this race, they have to remember that their tires are gone, their fuel is low, their brake balance is not slightly off, it is very off from where it should be, from where they started this race or where they qualified at the beginning of this race. Kyle Dersham now chasing down the likes of Owano, because Jed Cotterman is right up ahead. Jack Clark here in the YouTube chat saying that one hurt.
Just a little bit. Kobe Brooks with that slowdown, and that is going to hamper his chances to try and go after Frank Peralta. And unfortunately for Porsche, it is a nightmare case of it. Last thing you want to have is any forms of slowdowns, drive-through, stop-goes in the last 4 minutes and 10 seconds in this race. That takes all the pressure off Frank Peralta from behind, but now he needs to get a clear pass. Dennis Crosby, who's ahead of him, and aim for Chet Miller. The Chevrolet up the road. The 3 Fords are now running line astern with the Chevrolet in. But it's going to be an interesting time for Peralta to get the pass done. As he goes to his time out, knowing he's in 3rd, and he doesn't have too much pressure from the back. Gets a pass done. Wow, okay, so Dennis Crosby went out wide, gave him the room to get that pass done. Dennis, feeling he hasn't got enough in the legs to carry on going forward, releases Frank Peralta to now hunt down Chet Miller as they head towards the end. This is going to be a final mad dash for second place in the in the AM class. And for Frank Perrault, this is now or never for him to get that drive. He is absolutely doing everything, chomping at the bit to get ahead and follow Chet Miller. But a big problem coming in. Jed Cotterman with a drive-through penalty. Jed Cotterman with a drive-through penalty in 6th position. That is going to knock him down a few pegs and out towards the top 5. McNelson trying his absolute charge. He has got the likes of Oliver Brooks ahead of it, and will be wanting to clear Oliver Brooks and get closer to Kobe Brooks. McNelson going to be more than happy with that, but Jed Cotterman out of the top 5 now gets a drive-through penalty. They'll drop him below 10th position. What a blow, and what a time to come out with the final 2 minutes and 23 seconds after this race. I mean, that is absolutely mental and heartbreaking.
Absolutely gutting. It just, in the final stages of the race, it leaves me speechless that you were that close to making it to the checkered flag before that penalty became alive and a thing. Jed Cotterman going down pit lane to serve that penalty. Let's see where he comes out. I'm going to close my eyes and hope for the best for Jed Cotterman's sake. Nicholas Uwano now unleashes the beast out in P1 for the category. No longer has Cotterman in front. He unleashed Kyle Dersham to chase down Jamie MacArthur, but I think 2 seconds of a gap is a little too much here and now.
Huffington also drive-through penalty while Jesse Chase gets a slowdown. So drivers starting to feel it. Lastminute.com right through the field. Doesn't matter where you are starting to get the impact as Kieran Mado trying to move forward. Frank Perrault takes a bit of a late lunge down the inside. He had to go and straighten up the steering. So what a move by Frank to just have that knowledge, straighten the steering up to avoid any bit of contact that may come from that monster of a dive from Jed Cotterman, who I think has got frustration. Jed Cotterman has got frustration, and he is just pushing as hard as he can through the field, trying to gain as much time as possible before he has to serve that drive-through penalty or it gets added to his race time. The only way you're going to do it is keep your foot on the gas and move up through the field. The last
but
thing you want to
Steven,
do is
this is the battle for the podium in the Pro-Am category, and he goes for a dive up the inside into Remus, knocks out Frank Perrault. I mean, Perrault has every right to give that respect back, and Jed Cotterman comes down pit road again to add insult to injury here.
Oh, it's a nightmare case of it. It's one of going that little bit further. Fine, tow me along, but yeah, unfortunately, that's gone and thrown Frank Perrault clear out of the picture. Unless Chet Miller gets a poor drive like he just did out of turn 1, and now Chet Miller has got a bit of a fight. Frank is not done yet. He's got one right-hander coming up. Can he hold the inside line? He's going to go late to the brakes. It's going to dive. It's going to have to make it work. Frank holds the inside line. Chet goes around the outside, managing to carry enough momentum. The two of them absolutely giving it everything they got. Karam will keep an eye on these two in the mirrors. But when we thought Frank was out, well, he's just come back fighting.
Absolute insanity here, but Javier Sierra is going to take the checkered flag in front of Kyle Smith. Clancy Garvin recovers into P3. Roberto Perez in 4th, 5th, and 6th for Kyle Dersham there. We got to go back to this battle for the podium because Frank Perrault is giving this everything he's got.
Absolutely chasing down Chet, trying to guard towards the inside line. He leaves it open. It's going to be a big look for Frank. Couldn't quite get it done. Slowed up on the apex, slowed off the cam, and now one more corner to go. Can he get the drive out of it? No, he can't. Chet Miller has got the straight line. Chet Miller finishes in 2nd place with Frank Perrault in 3rd. What a drive. What a bit of momentum. Frank Perrault threw everything he had and the kitchen sink towards Chet Miller. Both of them had such an awesome fight right through to the end. And what a race indeed. What a race.
What a race and what a finish. Hats off to the podium finishers and Chet Miller, Frank Perot at the end of the day dragging it out. Nearly nothing separating them, but Clancy Garvin might be my driver of the day on that podium as well. Coming back into P3 after having a huge moment with the wall, it was just so shocking to see him make that critical mistake on that outlap, and then to come back into P3, he really worked his way through the field tonight.
Keeping up a solid pace. But I mean, if you take a look at hardest charges, you can't take it away. Carl Dersham up 13 places from where he started. Chet Miller was up 12 places from where he started. Two drivers are the only ones of the bunch that's able to get into the double digits with their climb back through the order and to stay at the top. However, there was no beating the first in class for our AM class, and that was Nicholas Iwano, who had a stellar run. Taking a look at our GT3 Pro finishing order, it's Javier Sierra, followed by Carl Smith, Clancy Garvin, Roberto Perez in fourth, Jamie MacArthur rounds fifth, Carl Dersham, followed by Leeson Young Dillsworth, Rafael Rodriguez, Corone Maduro, Dennis Crosby holds on to your top 10 with the fastest lap going to Clancy Garvin. Most laps led is Clancy Garvin, but didn't get a pole position because that was Javier Sierra. But Sega, you've got the Pro-Am, or get the Am results of this race.
Nicholas Iwano, Chet Miller, and Frank Perot led us in the 1, 2, 3 here at the Red Bull Ring. And then Kobe Brooks came home with a commanding P4 in front of Oliver Brooks in fifth. Mac Nelson in sixth, Brian Lavrisa in seventh, Kenneth Coping, Nicholas Paul, James Clark round out the top 10. Brendan McCurdy, Jesse Chase, Owen Huffington, Marshall Darden, Nidek Kume, Faraz Ibrahim, Ryan Thompson, Robert Nelson, and Christopher Adams round out the 19 drivers in the AM and this action-packed grid here with Breaking Bad Pushing Limits GT3 Racing League.
Absolutely pushing limits indeed. And that being said, we have got a couple of people to interview, as we have got our GT3 AM driver, Nicholas Iwano, to come and have a chat to us. Nicholas, are you there?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Nicholas, first of all, a monster. Congratulations. A stellar fight out of the circuit. How are you feeling after that race and fighting top 5 overall?
Oh man, I'm actually ecstatic. So this is only like my second time ever like league racing. So like I'm like on a high. So like towards the end, I'm like, do I fight or do I let the pros go at it? And like because I knew the other guy was like right behind me. I'm like, oh man, I was at the end. I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm excited.
That being said, I mean, take us through the start. It looked like a monster of a Tina effect through the corners where you just have to protect your car. Was there any worry about any mistakes that can take you out? So we do see on our screen very near miss with one of the Chevrolets getting a spin out of turn 4.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of it, it was, some of the guys were pretty racy. So I was like, at some point, I'm like, all right, I just need to keep the car clean. I'm like, I got the pace to lead my class the rest of the way and just go from there.
Wonderful stuff. Well, before we let you go and enjoy the celebrations on your win, anything you would like to say to all of the drivers here in Breaking Bad, Pushing the Limits GT3 class, and to all the petrol heads out there in the virtual grandstands, Racer Nexus channel?
Honestly, everybody in the league here has been awesome to race with. Jed puts on an amazing league, and thank you, Jed, for having us, and having Racer Nexus here. Commentate, and it's really awesome because I get to show all my friends and family, hey, look what I did this weekend, and like this is awesome. I'm so happy, and thank you guys for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well done, Nicholas Warner, taking the victory in the AM field, and what a drive it was for him. But Mr. Bakshi, I believe you've managed to get hold of first place overall and GT3 Pro driver, Javier Sierra.
Javier Sierra. You're the same Javier Sierra from this morning's In It esports race. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. How you doing, guys?
Good. How about yourself, my friend? What an amazing drive you had today. From the word go, you didn't control the field, but the race eventually came to you. Talk to us about how you made that race happen.
Yes, just trying, to keep, a clean race, focus and trying to, to keep my pace all the time. Save a little bit of fuel also, and yeah. Just trying to, to keep a good and clean race.
Well, you did a good job keeping it clean on the racetrack. Unlike the action we saw at Charlotte today, a couple of cautions came out. None tonight, fortunately for you, Javier Sierra, and that 979 drove it to victory lane. Now, talk to us about race preparation. What goes into some of the work you do to get ready for a 1 hour race like this?
Yeah, I did a couple practice sessions. I think it was last night and this morning. I know that Red Bull Ring they have these new curves. They're kind of tricky. I was trying to avoid them as much as possible. They were unsettled the car a little bit in the braking.
Yeah.
But yeah, after all, just trying to keep a good pace, and that was my plan for the race.
Well, your practice paid off, Javier Sierra, coming off of the NASCAR event this morning. Tonight was a victory for you. Anybody you'd like to shout out or anybody you'd like to thank on the good for tonight?
Yeah, of course. My brother that, always they're practicing and, with me, and my daughter that is probably gonna watch this tomorrow morning, and to you guys and, all the guys for putting all this together.
Thank you very much, Javier Sierra. Have a wonderful night, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Steven, now that we've wrapped up with the leaders, now that we've wrapped up the race, what's your big takeaway on the evening?
Well, expect the unexpected. That's all I can say. Expect the unexpected. The drivers had to push hard tonight. They had to work really hard, and it's all about who can stay their way to the top. The question came in is down to who was the first into the pits. Short stops we thought were going to work out didn't work out. Going that little bit longer didn't work out. There were so many moments in this race that could define who can stay at the top. Not many big crashes, but a whole lot of very, very competitive racing, side by side, continuously coming into play that really force people to come and really think of their strategies, what they need to do. I'm excited for the rest of the season. I'm excited to see what comes out because so far we've had some new winners and also some new challengers out into the top three over and over again. So don't blink, don't miss, and make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Come join the Breaking Bad team and have a ton of fun in the league because there is just so much to come.
Absolutely true. Absolutely certain. The one thing that I know and took away from this event, these drivers are well equipped to go wheel to wheel. Javier Sierra, Clancy Garvin, Kyle Smith, Jed Cotterman, Roberto Perez, and some of the pro-ams as well. Nicholas Iwano, Brian Lavrisa, and Mac Nelson definitely showed up and showed out tonight and gave us a wonderful show here from the Racers Nexus broadcast booth live from Austria. It's been a pleasure to be your host. It's been a pleasure to take you from green to checkered flag, but all good things need to come to an end, and so shall this. From high in the Austrian Alps, it's been a pleasure to be your host here from Racers Nexus. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for staying tuned. This has been week 4 at the Red Bull Ring for Breaking Bad Pushing Limits. In the booth with me from Racers Nexus has been Steven Kernick. I'm Sagar Bakshi. Have a wonderful night. And as always, make sure you stay safe out there. Bye-bye for now.